In our rookie profiles, we're going to break down the top incoming rookies. And let's start at the very top with a player that's almost certain to go #1 overall, and that is Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback out of Clemson. Anybody who's followed college football for the last couple of years knows who Lawrence is. We know that Tank for Trevor was a popular refrain during the 2020 season. The Jets didn't quite get that right, so it looks like the Jaguars might be the team that lands with Trevor Lawrence. He has officially declared. So let's take a look at his profile. Lawrence stands at 6'6", 220 pounds. He's definitely got the size that you want for a quarterback in the NFL. Yet to see what his combine numbers will be. Hand size, of course, always a popular topic, but needless to say, he's got the stature. He's got the legs too. He's shown a lot of elusiveness that made him the #1 national recruit coming out of high school. Of course, he chose Clemson, led them to a national championship, among other things, the last couple of years. Didn't quite pull the Heisman Trophy in, but he was the runner-up this past season. What has he accomplished in his time at Clemson? Well, he did lead the NCAA in completion percentage the last couple of years at 65.8% and 69.2%. Very impressive. Led the ACC in passing yards in 2019 with 3,665 yards. Of course, this season he won the national championship. Didn't quite accomplish that feat in 2020, losing to Justin Fields in Ohio State. But he was #2 in the ACC in passing yards with 3,153 in 10 games. He finished his college career with the third best winning percentage among all Division I quarterbacks since 1978. That's pretty big accomplishment right there. The fact that he is a leader in year after year, no lulls, led his program to the playoffs, and of course, that one championship. So what are the pros? Well, there's probably too many to list here. Obviously played against the best competition during the regular season, of course, the major conference, but also regularly in the playoffs. Won the championship. He has pretty much every intangible you can imagine. He's shown poise, leadership. He did not shrink in big games, quite the opposite. Was very consistent, showed that accuracy, and also the rushing ability that is almost a must-have for NFL quarterbacks these days. Right? The landscape has shifted. And even though he didn't pile up huge rushing numbers, he did score 17 touchdowns on the ground the last 2 seasons. And he's shown great vision too. He knows when to run it, when to throw it, and the decision-making should not be an issue. Are there any cons? Well, it's hard to pick. Look, we can try to nitpick and find something. In this game, he wasn't superb, but let's be honest, there's no doubt he's going to be the top pick. The only possible con might be, well, if he has that pressure of going into the NFL, being the top pick, and possibly the savior of a franchise, that can be a lot. We've seen plenty of guys come in as the top pick, especially quarterbacks who just couldn't handle it. Lawrence, of course, doesn't seem that way, had no issues, even as a freshman in college, top flight from the get-go. So it doesn't seem like it'll be an issue for him. He's shown great maturity every season, but you just never know the transition to the pros. And you know what? If he does land in Jacksonville, which seems very likely, he might actually be dealing with less talent on the field than he had at Clemson. That's right, Clemson, of course, becoming a pro factory. Who knows who the receivers will be in Jacksonville next year? Of course, undrafted free agent at running back. They have DJ Chark there in place, but a lot of their other wide receivers are free agents. Who else do you think could bring in? It could be some other young players at the skill position. So honestly, it might be a little bit of a step backwards for him. How do you value him? Well, in dynasty leagues, his ADP, he's got to be the #1 pick. I don't care if you say, well, you pick a receiver to go long-term with the running backs are more valuable. You have a franchise quarterback of this caliber, doesn't come around very often. So I feel like he needs to be the #1 pick, even if it's not a super flex league. Trevor Lawrence is the most sure thing. We've seen what happened with all these running backs who were supposed to be can't miss prospects this past year. A lot of them disappointed. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was the #1 pick in a lot of dynasty rookie drafts. Turned out to be kind of a flop in 2020. Who knows what his value is in 2021? We just don't know. This is pretty much a sure thing. His dynasty, he's got to be a top 5 pick at the very least, if not the top pick. What about for redraft leagues? Let's say you're looking to grab a rookie in the later rounds. Maybe you think that he can be a starter just like Joe Burrow was early season. Justin Herbert, we've seen what happens. These guys did not wait. Burrow was leading the league at one point in pass attempts and yardage until he got hurt, of course. And then Justin Herbert finished 4th in the league in pass attempts on the season, was a top 10 fantasy quarterback by year's end. So why can't Lawrence do the same thing? Well, he might not have a guy like Keenan Allen to throw to, receivers like AJ Green and Tyler Boyd like Burrow did. We'll see what happens. But still, Lawrence has shown he can do something those guys can't, and that's run the ball consistently. Herbert does have some legs, but he's not really a running quarterback, and Burrow more of a pocket passer. So Lawrence has that multi-dimensional ability that makes him so appealing, and he will definitely be the focal point of the offense in Jacksonville. I see him as a low-end quarterback 1 for fantasy in redraft leagues. It's still risky taking any kind of a rookie quarterback as your starter. There are still several quarterbacks you've got to consider over him. He could definitely fall into the top 10, though, if you're willing to take that leap of faith. But I would say you can grab him in round 10 or later, just because you don't need to draft a quarterback much earlier anyways. All right, that's our profile on Trevor Lawrence. We'll be here all offseason long to talk about some of the top rookies in the NFL draft for 2021. And of course, we'll have live coverage of the draft when it comes. Thanks for watching.